Shalom, my friends, shalom, my enemies. This is your old buddy, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And it is going to be a delight for me and for you to welcome our guest in the neighborhood on this fine summer Shabbos morning, because we have a veteran actor, a veteran performer and director who's coming to us all the way from New York, where he's going to be directing and has written a brand new play that they're doing at Theater for the New City. It is called The Soup in the Second Act. So it's going to be about actors, of course. So we're going to be talking to Barry Primus. Let me tell you a little bit about this gentleman here. He made his Broadway debut back in 1959. And since then, you have seen him in movies like The Irishman and American Hustle, and one of Scorsese's first movies, Boxcar Bertha. He was in Bette Midler in The Rose. You probably, maybe you know him best from a recurring role he had on the TV show Cagney and Lacey, but it's more interesting to me that he was in a show based on a play written by Isaac Bashevis Singer called Tybala and Her Demon. Oh my God, he is the winner of an off-off-Broadway Dalrymple Award for Lifetime Achievement. And if you've ever had your Dalrymple, you know how painful that can be. Ladies and gentlemen, won't you welcome to the neighborhood, Barry Primus. Shalom, Barry.
Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Shalom to you. How are you this fine day?
I'm tired. I'm working. I'm getting ready for an opening, so I'm a little tired.
This is the opening is September 25th, or is that first preview?
The 26th.
26th. So do you have previews, or when it?
No, we go right into it.
So the 26th at Theater for the New City, which Crystal. Now here's the thing. I saw you've known Crystal Field because she was in some Broadway thing, or she was like an actress at that point in a show you did somewhere. How long do you go back with Crystal Field?
Crystal Field and I go back. Oh my God, she was in this. She was in a company of Lincoln Center under Elia Kazan. So we know each other since I think it was 1960. We started knowing each other. But you know, she lives just down. The Theater for the New City is just down the street from me. I live on 10th, and Theater for the New City is on 10th and 1st. So, you know, I go in. I taught over there a little bit. I've seen all of her shows, and we've been friends forever and ever. And she's kind of a heroine down here. You know, she really has a great community theater. She services so many interesting people and all kinds of people that would never see the theater, and the people that work there are mostly volunteer people, and she welcomes people in and teaches them things, and she's quite a heroine to me.
Well, it was like sort of she and Ellen Stewart were coming.
That's right, and Ellen Stewart had La Mama. These are, you know, there was at one time, you know, a real theater going public in New York City, you know, mostly middle class Jews, as a matter of fact, who supported the theater. And somehow those people are now supporting television. And so there's much less of this kind of theater. This kind of experimental theater, there really is only Crystals and La Mama, really.
Well, you know, when landlords are charging $50,000 a month rent, which they can get from a restaurant or a garage, why the hell are they going to do it? You know,
you know what the world, you know what Jews say, the world is based on three things. You know what it is?
Yeah, please. What?
Money, and money. Okay, go on.
Oh, you just gave Hamas a laugh. No, I'm kidding. By the way, are you okay? Because I am visually seeing something.
You know what that is?
No.
That's to make me look good and slick for your show. It's grease.
Oh, okay.
Now you see the change in me, see?
Okay. I thought it was a Band-Aid or something. Oh, McMazel, you're great. Oh, thank you.
I'm okay now. I'm okay.
Much better, because grease is the word. Have you heard? So we're talking with Barry Primus here. So I have so many questions for you. Let me start, though.
Let me ask you a question. Where are you calling from?
Well, my temple is in Great Neck, New York. However, at the moment, I happen to be in Maryland with Dave, who produces this particular program. Dave's gone by. So
Okay.
that this is my and your home base is 10th Avenue in New York City. Is
Oh,
have you lived in New York pretty much your whole life, or did you have to move to California for a
no,
while?
I moved to California. Uh, I moved to California when I did a film called New York with Scorsese, and I got used to it. But now I go back and forth. I have one apartment here in the East Village, and then I have something in Hollywood.
Very nice, very nice. Now you mentioned some Jewish stuff. What are you Jewish, Greek? What is your background?
Frequently? Did you say frequently? Am I
I know
Jewish?
I said, are you Jewish or Greek? The name Primus. Where's that?
Well, it might be Greek. We don't know how Primus came about.
Oh,
So there was some theory that it might have been somebody was disowned from the family, and so they took first Primus, meaning first in Latin. They took that as a name. We really don't know, but we're Jewish. My
oh,
roots
you are
are.
Jewish. I did not know that. Oh, I really, I
You
couldn't.
know that?
No, no. I mean, I'm thrilled. Welcome to the tribe. Except you've been in the tribe
Okay,
for 80 something
okay.
years.
I
Yeah.
don't know if I want to be in it this second, but I'm here. You're right. I'm in it. I'm in
Well,
it.
listen, and we are going to talk just briefly about this. I'll bring this up early. That your sister was named Francesca or
That's
Francesca.
right.
The reason I know this is that Dave, the producer of the program, is a member of the American Theater Critics
Well,
Association.
there you go.
So, do you want to tell a little bit about the prize that is named for your
That's
sister?
right. My sister was a part of the Critics Association, wonderful organization of American critics from all over the country. And she was a very happy member of that group, and when and loved the people on it, and the people loved her. And when she wrote, she was she wrote articles for Show Business magazine, and she was working on a book on feminist theater. When she died very young, um, we set up a fund for her, and so that for her in her memory. So the Critics Association every year gives a prize to women writers, which we need, and so my wife says. So and I she we and so I come and occasionally and give it, and it's a nice occasion.
Yeah, you've done that in person. You give. It's like
I
a
try to be.
10,000.
I try this year. I won't be because I'll be of all places Israel when they have their meeting. Have you know Israel? Have you
I've
heard of
heard of it. Yes, I've never
it?
been there, but I've heard of it. It seems nice. You know, and, it's on my list under Aruba, St. Thomas, and then Israel when it's safe. That would be, which is never. But how many times have you been to Israel?
Oh, many times. I mean, many times. My daughter lives there, and my two grandchildren. She fell in love with a Russian immigrant, and they have a wonderful family, and they live in Ramat Gan outside. So I go a lot and stay. And I started going there when I made a movie there years ago called Torn Apart. It was a kind of Jewish Romeo and Juliet story.
Romeo and Juliet, quite honestly, if you
Yeah,
think about it.
Juliet, thank you.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Was your other profession a comic or what?
And I just play one on TV. No, but yeah, I tummel, I spiel. Yeah, I don't want to be a
Spiel.
boring old
You
rabbi like
spiel.
God will get you and thunder and lightning and this and that. But no,
Are you a rabbi, David?
first, I'm Sol. My name is Sol Solomon, Rabbi Sol Solomon. And so David is the guy.
Oh no, Sal. I'm sorry. Yes,
Yes,
of
yes,
course.
you should be sorry. But yeah, my name is Sol Solomon, and yeah, I have rabbinical instincts, which I employ when I visit on Dave's show to do.
Oh, I see. I see. I see. I see. I see.
You're getting it now.
I
So
see.
let me ask you, speaking of Jews,
So
you
you're near wisdom. You're near wisdom.
I
Okay.
am wisdom adjacent, I think I would say.
That's a good way to put it. Wisdom adjacent. So are
So
we all.
if,
Go
I,
on.
if I stand next to a Bible, I'm wisdom.
That's right. That's right.
Now let me mention a Jew. Please give me your memories of him because you worked on pieces of his. Arthur Miller. Any stories about Arthur Miller?
Funny stories. I was in like four of his original productions.
Right.
I was in After the Fall, famous play of his, an Incident at Vichy.
Speaking of Jews, yeah.
It certainly was. And I was in another play of his called Creation of the World and Other Business. And it was about, it's Cain and Abel. I played Cain.
And you know who played? It was Mark Lamos, the guy who found it hard
How
for
do you know
change.
that? How do you know
I do
that?
homework. What do you mean? How do I do?
Oh, you really are wisdom adjacent.
There you go. But so tell me, he was working on these plays while you were in these debuts.
Yeah, that's right.
Any stories, any memories about Arthur Miller?
Arthur Miller. Well, there's so many stories, but I don't know. You know, I don't know what to say about Arthur. I mean, he was very tall, and he could be very strong about things. And I just remember him. You know, we were at the Watergate working on Creation of the World, and he was above me working on an act that I was in. He rewrote it 150 times. He was, trying to get it together. And my wife, who was with me at that time, Julie Aronell, who choreographed Hair. She's the original choreographer of Hair all over the world. And he was in the elevator with Arthur, and I hadn't, and I was trying to get these new lines every day, new lines. And she looked up, and she's small and he's tall. And she looked up and said, "Arthur, why are you rewriting Barry's scene over and over again? It's just impossible." And Arthur looked down at her. He looked really down, and he said, "Well, Julie, I'm trying to understand and bring into the world how evil came about." Cain and Abel story. How evil came about. My wife, who can be very off the cuff, looked up at him and said, "Well, Arthur, good luck," and rolled her eyes. Couldn't leave. And Arthur just looked down at me and shook his head like, "You got some package over there." He could be very warm.
Oh, good. Okay.
He could be very strong. And I liked his wife, Ingrid, very much too. And I don't know. I mean, I only remember him at work with us, with Kazan, and being around. And he just, I don't know. I don't have a particular story about him.
All right, well, let me pivot a little bit since you just mentioned Elia Kazan. Or is it Elia or Elia? I always
Elia.
It was Elia. So you were working with him. Was there a feeling about him in the community? I don't know if this was before or after.
It was after.
It was after. You know what?
Yeah.
So was he a pariah among certain actors?
He was. There were some people who would not forgive Kazan, and I believe that some of the poor reviews when our theater opened at Lincoln Center and didn't last. After years of planning, was a vendetta against Kazan by some of the critics. On the other hand, there were people who suffered so many different ways. It was a terrible, terrible time. I think that probably the worst public figure until Trump was probably McCarthy. And he put a lot of people through a lot of things. And I, as a young actor, studied all these people. Many of them couldn't get work, so they became teachers. And it was a very complicated and dangerous time. And yes, there were people who would see him walking down the street and they would jump into a store so they wouldn't have to confront him or see him, you know. And, Zero Mostel, who you all love, you know, it's a famous story of Gadge, we used to call Kazan. His name, he got this name at the group theater, Gadget, from getting things. He was an apprentice. They called it, and so they called him Gadge for Gadget. And Gadge is walking down the street, 72nd Street, this book. He writes that felt someone's hands around his neck, stopped him. The person whispered in his ear, "How could you have done that? I loved you so much," and let him go, because they had worked together. And Kazan said later, you know, all kinds of right and left people were angry with me, but Zero Mostel is upset by you. Feels terrible. He was a phenomenon, Kazan. His energy was phenomenal. He was very, very talented, and he was very good with me. He was the best director I worked with, probably.
Well, what made him? You worked with a zillion directors on film. What made him like so great as a director?
Knowing human behavior so well. He was an expert in human behavior. And he was an expert on what was making the actor that he was working with tick. And he could take what was making the actor work tick and combine that with the role, so that the role, the actors, who the actor was, he was able to tap into their need. And that need was he put into the role. He would cast you because you had that need in you, and then he would bring it out. So it's a combination of both the actor and the role. And so we see these extraordinary performances by James Dean and Marlon Brando and all these different people. He was a friend of mine. Well, Robert DeNiro, we were talking about it the other night, and about Kazan, and he still says, when people ask me about Kazan, I always say he was everything you've heard about him.
Well, what do you think he found in you? You know, I mean, you were in a show called.
Well, what he found in me was a lot of passion, and a lot of passion, and a lot of what we call stuff. Actors call it stuff. A furnace that's filled. Some people don't have it very much. The great actors have a lot of stuff. Sidney Pollack, the Jew, by the way, who also, there's a lot of Jews in the theater.
And believe me, I have acted. I don't just have a furnace. I have a whole crematorium in me.
I believe it.
I believe
it. We're seeing it now. We're seeing it now. And wisdom, adjacent wisdom.
Adjacent wisdom, yes. As long as the two don't get too close together and they catch on fire.
They catch fire. And then
I wanted to ask you, though, since we're on the show that Kazan or Gadge directed, it says on the thing that Faye Dunaway was a co-star.
Yeah, she was, Faye Dunaway was in the company.
Was she normal then? Was she like just a regular actor trying to get by?
She was normal in the sense of being normally gorgeous.
Oh,
and talented. And we were good friends. And I always liked Faye a lot. She's just had a tremendous amount of ambition and fire about herself, you know. And matter of fact, the first time she did an exercise in class, we were all doing exercises. My friend Jack also turned to me and said, "Why is she doing exercises in the class? We who are so ugly have to do exercises to become actors. Look at her, she should go straight to Hollywood." So,
well, it took a. I mean,
I did a movie with her. I starred in a movie with her, which is going to show next Sunday downtown somewhere. Puzzle of a Downfall Child, and she got me that job. You know, playing opposite her. It's about a model. She's terrific and terrific.
So one of the reasons that we have Barry Primus is that you are a living legacy and lexicon of theater and movies and have worked with everybody. So I know he's a close friend of yours, but can you tell us a fun anecdote about Robert De Niro working or not working? Just something you won't mind you telling, but you know.
It's hard to talk about somebody who's a friend. You don't know what to say. But first of all, he's very smart. That's what comes to me. Very intelligent, unusually intelligent, and whether about politics or whatever. And he's has a. It's hard for me to pin down one thing. He's a great friend. He's an unusually good friend. He's very thoughtful, unusually thoughtful, and close. He's the godfather of my child, and my daughter always laughs.
Robert De Niro is the Godfather.
I know. She
Yeah,
says
yeah.
she says, she told me, because she doesn't talk about Bobby. It just seems to do that. But one day she happened to tell somebody in school that was her godfather. She said, "You mean the Godfather's your godfather?" So
There you go.
he's very nice. He's wonderful with children. He's wonderful with his family, and he's well, you see, and I've watched him. He was a very quiet person when I first met him many years ago. Now you see he's advocating, he's political, he's grown. He feels so strongly about the country. It's just wonderful how he feels,
So we're talking with Barry Primus here about this is a close friend, but now one of the things that I enjoy doing is speaking ill of the dead. So are there people that you've dealt with or worked with who are no longer that they can't complain? That you're like, oh, he was a mamze, or she was terrible. She made my life hell. This is your chance. Oh,
I'm sorry, cannot speak ill of the dead.
no, don't do that. No,
What's the matter? You never read the Talmud?
I've heard of it.
You've heard of it. You've heard of it.
I'm Talmud adjacent. Yes.
The only thing I can say about it is the old story of the rabbi who gets up in temple and he says, "So now we've done in the memorial we've talked about Harry. Before we finish, is there something else we want to say about him?" Somebody from the back of the temple yells, "He wasn't this bad as his brother."
I like this. So I'll flip the question though. Who is someone who is dead or alive that people might not realize they were really great or wonderful?
Eli Wallach, my favorite person in the world. I thought Eli was I never heard, speaking of what we're doing, I never heard Eli Wallach say a negative thing about anybody. And he had a great habit. When people were talking negative about somebody, he just sort of bowed out. And he was great. And Marty Landau was another friend of mine, another mensch. There were mentions, besides being gifted actors, terrific people.
Any goyim, any nice goyim that you've run into in your travels, or?
Of course, a nice goyim.
Like who? Who else can you laud? Do you say, oh, they were alive or dead?
That they were great mensches?
Yeah.
Well, Uda Hagen, who gave me a scholarship, it's a wonderful, wonderful person, a wonderful teacher. You know who that is? She was a famous teacher and
HB or was she
an actress.
Yeah.
And did many wonderful things. Well, I mean, there's so many people. I never think of them as goyim and Jewish. I mean, you're dressed as a kind of a rabbi, so I'm talking about this stuff. But of course, there are all kinds of most of my good friends were not Jewish. Most of them.
It happens. It happens. It's a strange world sometimes. let me ask you about another very famous person. You've told a story. There's like a long interview with you on the web that people can find. But if you can condense a little bit of that in your first audition for the great choreographer and director Jerome
Oh,
Robbins.
that's a famous thing. Well, Jerome Robbins, yeah. Well, Jerry was my favorite person, probably.
Well, wait, he said something, when you first auditioned for him.
Yeah. When I first auditioned for him, he was doing a play called Oh Dad, Poor Dad. Mama's hung you in the closet and I'm feeling so sad. Yep. By Arthur Coppy. He was a wonderful guy, also just passed away. And yeah, so Jerry, I went to visit Jerry at the Bohemian Hall. I don't know if they call it that anymore. It's on 70-something Street. And Jerry, in the middle of the room, bent over his desk looking at a script. And I came in. Anna Sokolow, who was a fantastic choreographer, had sent me there because my wife was dancing with her. And so I went to see Jerry, and I didn't have long with the script. The script is very abstract and funny, but difficult to get a hold of, and I didn't know what it was. And I walked in and I read. Jerry looked at me and he said, "Now, thank you. That was the worst audition I ever heard. Bar none. That's the worst." I said, "I can't believe you did that." And he said, Anna Sokolow is a very talented person and a good friend of mine. She seems to think a lot of you. I don't know why, but you're either an idiot or you're very, very talented to come in and do that. I said, I didn't know what to say. My mouth was open. He said, "So I have a small part in the play. I'm going to put you in it so I can find out. But don't ever do that again. Now get out of here." And that was how I met Jerry.
And yet you became friends.
I became friends with Jerry, yes.
I mean, was he just, didn't you want to kill him at that moment? Well, he put you in his place, so that was that. But didn't you?
He was
what?
Yeah. Everyone described him as a genius. There was something magical about him. And he was, the book on him says he was talented beyond compare. I was in a group, he tried to put together a kind of concert theater of a few actors and singers and dancers to do plays like Brecht, small
like stage
chamber plays, chamber plays.
Yeah.
We worked on.
Hello, Julie. She can wait. She can pop in if she wants to say hi. Hello.
Hi. Yeah. No, you know what we're doing? We're selling things here. That's the reason for us
selling
to
tickets. Let's
this is the. Can you see this? This is the name of the play.
Lifted soup for the second. Soup
in the second.
In the second. Is that the program? Is that the stage?
Yeah, well, that's just the ad for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
A postcard.
Running at it's sideways. You got the other side is like. Is it? You have it sideways.
It's sideways, yeah.
Is it? All right. It's at Theater for the New City, and it is running from September 26th through October 10th. Theater for the New City is over on 10th Street and 1st Avenue, by the way. So you got to get your tickets. It's written and directed. We have questions to ask you about that. By Barry Primus, who's talking to us right now. So yeah, sell some tickets.
What this play is a group of actors are stranded in Syracuse in a terrible storm, and they're going to have one last performance if this bus comes through with handicapped children. And while they're waiting for the bus, and the tour will end after that, and they've been on tour a long time together, this family of people, they become a family like you do in a play. While away the time, waiting in real time to see if the bus is going to come or not, we're just going to close right away. and examine the relationships that they have and keep their spirits up by telling jokes. And the play is filled with their existential theater jokes. I'll
Well,
give you
can you share one? Can you just do one to win?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
I'll get you where the title of the play comes about. This play emerged from my many years of hanging around with very funny and warm people in cafes and parks when I was a young actor until I was an older actor. Some great storytellers. There were wonderful storytellers like Jason Robards and Marty Landau was another one. They were great people, but they thrilled me because they had a certain spirit and they were not of this world totally. They had something else going in which money was not the primary target of things. Well, here's one I got from, I don't know where, let's go along. I can't remember who gave them to me and I should credit them. So one actor meets another actor on the street, Times Square. He says, "Hey, David, I haven't seen you in so long. Where you been?" He says, "Well, I'm in a play right now." He says, "Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations." He says, "No, not really." He says, "Why?" He says, "Well, the play is shit." He says, "What do you mean the play is shit?" He said, "Oh, it's a horrible play." "Oh," he says, "Well, so the actors must be very good, though, huh?" "Actors? You call those amateur actors? Ah, God, hate them." Just wait a minute, the play's no good. They hate the actors. If they're paying you well, I'll tell you what they're paying me. Zip. Well, wait a minute. The play stinks. The actors are amateurs. And they're not paying anything. What the hell are you doing the play for? And he says, they serve soup in the second act. So it is.
There you go. That's yes. That's really almost a revision of the because of such in such small portions joke. It's kind of the same basic idea. The food is terrible in such tiny portions. But yeah, this is a classic, very Jewish kind of sensibility and Jewish joke among many that you can hear and see in the new play by Barry Primus, which is at Theater for the New City, called Soup in the Second Act. Now, I know we're running a little bit. How much time do you still have with us? Because there's 174 more questions on here that I'd love to hear a little bit more.
Not too long, but
we have a couple of minutes. Yes, we have a couple
you
of
want
minutes.
to spiel some more? Go ahead.
I do want to spiel some. I absolutely want to spiel some more. Let me spiel a little bit, though, since, yes, you're an actor, yes, you're a director, and you've done it long enough that you teach acting and directing as well. So what is one or two most important things that you try to convey to your students?
That the role that they're playing, they should search inside themselves to see if they can find genuine experiences in themselves of the character that they're playing. Otherwise, it becomes acting for a lot of times, which we don't like in the negative sense. Good acting usually has to have real thought and some experience behind it, whether it's real experience or imaginary experience, right? Because we've all been through everything and actually understand all kinds of situations and emotional things that have happened to us. We've all been through that. It's just a question that the actor admits it and allows it to come into the role and his understanding of the role. Yes, I'm playing Romeo, and I'm not in that 14th century, 16th century, and I'm not living in Verona, but I have been young, and I know, if I examine myself, when I first saw Julie, how I felt, where I was, and my need, and so I connect with my Juliet first, or partly, and then I get to that. Then I put that Juliet onto the actors that I'm playing, and the combination of the two will create a reality on stage. You know.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. Like, I have never been baptized, but I've taken a shower and got my hair wet. So I can kind of, if I ever had to do a scene like that, I could get
That's
through
right.
it. I mean, it'd be better.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
speaking of your Juliet, how did you met your wife? How many
You
years ago?
meant I met her at Bennington College.
Bennington? Yeah,
Bennington. You know Bennington College?
I know Bennington.
It's a liberal arts school, very small, very special. She was a dance major. She's part Polish, part Mexican. And I was intrigued with her from it's like Romeo and Juliet. The first time I saw her, somebody said to me, we were sitting on the floor. I was 18. We were getting our uh, our classes assigned to us, and I smelled some perfume. It was vanilla perfume, and I looked up, and my friend said, "Look at that girl over there. She's the most beautiful girl in school." And there was Julie. And at that moment, I thought, "Wow, that's exactly what I always thought I wanted to be with." And the first time I took a walk with Julie, after a month at school, I asked her to walk with me. She wouldn't walk with me. So I played the guitar under her window, and her roommate said, "Would you please take a walk with that Meshuggah? Otherwise, I can't get my homework done." So she went and took a walk with me to buy cookies. And on the way back, it was snowing, and there was a barn, a beautiful barn. It was Vermont, it's where Bennington is. And I said, "See that barn and see that snow? It's so beautiful. When I get out of school, I want to get a barn like that and make a theater and live in the country." And Julie was standing in the snow. Snow was on her face in a pea coat. She said, "Ugh, I hate the country." And I said, "Well, you got to get to like it," I said, "because I'm going to marry you." And she said, "Marry you? I don't even like you." That's how we met.
Wow. So how did you change her mind?
Well, you've been talking to me a few minutes. You must
Yeah, you're very charming. Yeah,
figure it out,
you're
right?
talented. So
Can you figure it out?
did you do scenes with her and she realized that you had that spark you were talking about, the oven, the fire? Is that, do you think?
Fire was very easy to get to.
What?
The fire was very easy to get to. Look, he's
Is she
marching up.
chuckling in the background there? Is she going like, oh yeah? Or is she rolling around? Oh, I see her shadow moving.
Yes,
There we go.
there we go. So,
Yeah.
so please, we want people to. Can you send people to see the
Let's
play?
do one more push, a promotion of Soup in the second act, which is written and directed by Barry Primus. If you want to,
And I've had some wonderful actors
who's
in
in
it,
it? Yeah,
huh?
who's in it? Name the
Well,
name.
there's wonderful actors that have come from Los Angeles, like Day Young and Kip Gilman, and Paul Coates, and just terrific people. And they came all the way from California to do it. So they worked on it there at the Actors Studio with me. I'm a member of the Actors Studio, and they have a playwrights unit. And so during the playwrights unit, they and myself worked on the play over a period of a couple of years. So I've been very lucky to do that. I think the play isn't just about actors, it's about endurance, how we go on. And actors are kind of a symbol of this kind of thing. They build a family, then the family's destroyed because the play ends. Then they have to move on and they build another family. But in the meantime, they have their hopes, but they survive through a kind of spirit, good spirit and warmth. And and then and an idea that they're only alive when they're fully alive when they're in this in this thing. It's a special thing. I guess we all have professions where we're most alive in, and to them, acting is the thing that makes the most love. For me, I'm working on this play. I wonder why it's so exhausting. And I think, well, Martha Graham said it best. Martha Graham said, all creativity is divine displeasure.
That is not just genius adjacent. That is genius right there. And absolutely true. Well, I will leave Barry Primus to his new temporary family. I hope you have a fabulous time with them. And I hope everybody watching this program will go see the results of what happens when Barry Primus writes and directs this play, Soup, in the second act.
Are you coming from Maryland to see it or not?
If I can get from Maryland, it's a long walk, but worth it. I'm going to start walking as soon as the show's over. I should be I might complain about my feet when I'm sitting there, but it sounds wonderful. And I also want to thank Jonathan Slaff for setting this up. He's the PR person.
Okay, let's thank him.
Yeah, so Jonathan, thank you very, very much. This is wonderful. I invite you to come back to the program at some point to do more of this, because at least on this side, this was wonderful. And we have so many more. We didn't even get to the cannibal women in the avocado jungle of death, for God's sakes. How do we not even have time for that? But I know you have to run. I know you have to go to your show. So I wish you, breaking many, many legs, toes and fingers and everything, success. And thank you, Barry Primus.
Thank
and
you.
Shalom to you.
Shabbat shalom.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.